they've been historically marginalized.
Think about how many brilliant minds have been overlooked or forgotten simply because of their race or gender. It's a reminder that we need to be actively seeking out diverse perspectives, challenging the dominant narratives, and making space for everyone's story to be heard.
And it's not just about history. There are so many contemporary...
Welcome to Witter. Who Has Time to Read? The podcast that brings deep dives for busy minds. Listen to AI hosts Jane and Dane and get ready to unpack the world's most captivating books in just a fraction of the time. Whether commuting, working out, or just squeezing in a quick break, we deliver key insights, thought-provoking themes, and takeaways you can carry into your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Plus, use our links in the description to purchase this book. Your support helps us bring more engaging book discussions to you. Listen and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Who has time to read? You do, with Witter.
Welcome back to Witter, Deep Dives for Busy Minds. This month, we're celebrating Black voices with a special series for Black History Month.
Right.
You know, sometimes a book comes along and you realize there are entire chapters of history you never even knew were missing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's how I felt reading Hidden Figures, The American Dream, and the Untold Story of the Black Women Mathematicians Who Helped Win the Space Race.
Wow.
By Margot Shetterly.
Yeah, that's... It's an amazing book.
An incredible book.
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I have, yeah. It's a real eye-opener, isn't it?
It is.
And not just because it highlights the incredible contributions of these women.
Right.
But because it forces us to confront how those contributions were systematically overlooked for so long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book throws us right into the World War II era.
Okay.
America's in a race against time to build up its aeronautics industry. And they need a workforce capable of handling complex calculations fast. Enter the human computers. And it's fascinating to consider.
Yeah.
These human computers, many of them Black women,
Right.
weren't just filling a wartime gap.
No.
They were highly educated, often holding degrees in mathematics.
Exactly. Yeah.
And facing discrimination even at traditionally Black colleges, like West Virginia State.
Yeah, it's like Shetterly is saying these women were brilliant from the start.
Right.
Their talent undeniable,
Right.
even when the world tried to hold them back.
Totally.
But they stepped up to support the war effort.
Yeah.
Working tirelessly at Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory, which later became NASA.
Right.
Right.
And imagine doing all of that while navigating the realities of segregation.
It's unbelievable.
Separate bathrooms, limited opportunities for advancement,
Yeah.
being treated as less than, despite their essential contributions.
Right.
It speaks volumes about their resilience.
It really does, yeah.
It's almost unfathomable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Juggling complex mathematical equations by day,
Right.
facing prejudice and inequality at every turn, and still finding the strength to persevere. It's remarkable.
And Shetterly doesn't just give us a broad overview. She delves into the individual stories of three women in particular.
Right.
Dorothy Vaughan, Katherine Johnson, and Mary Jackson.
Okay.
Each of their stories is incredible.
Yeah.
But Dorothy Vaughan's really struck me.
She was incredible, and leaving a stable teaching career.
It's a story of adapting to a changing world, I think.
Yeah.
Imagine leaving a stable teaching career in segregated Virginia,
Right.
thinking you're taking a temporary war job,
Right.
only to find yourself leading a team of Black female mathematicians at Langley.
Wow, what a turn of events. And all while raising a family, navigating segregated housing in schools, and fighting for her team's recognition.
Yeah, and here's where it gets really interesting. Dorothy sees the potential of electronic computing early on, even while being a master of the human computer world.
Yeah, talk about foresight.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, was she nervous about the potential obsolescence of human computers? Did she see this new technology as a threat or an opportunity?
That's such a great question. And it speaks to a larger theme in the book, this idea of constantly having to adapt and prove yourself in a world that's trying to limit you. Speaking of breaking boundaries, we can't forget Katherine Johnson.
Absolutely. When you think of that iconic image of John Glenn orbiting the Earth, it was Katherine Johnson's calculations that helped get him there.
She started as a human computer, but quickly rose to become an indispensable part of the Space Task Group. Now, for those who might not be familiar, This group was essentially responsible for planning and managing America's manned space flights.
Exactly. And not only was Katherine making critical calculations,
Right.
she insisted on being included in the editorial meetings where these missions were being shaped, a space usually reserved for men.
Right.
Can you imagine the courage that took to step into a room where you're not necessarily welcomed
Wow.
and demand a seat at the table?
And to do it all while facing both racial and gender discrimination. Katherine's story is a testament to the unwavering strength and brilliance that helped propel America to victory in the space race.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many times she had to fight to have her voice heard, to be recognized for her genius.
Exactly. And then there's Mary Jackson, who shattered glass ceilings to become one of NASA's first Black female engineers.
Incredible, right?
What's so remarkable about Mary's journey is that she also started as a computer,
Yeah.
like Dorothy and Katherine, but she had this incredible passion for engineering, and thankfully her talent was noticed by a forward-thinking engineer who encouraged her to pursue an engineering degree.
Which, of course, was a monumental challenge at the time.
Yeah.
Due to segregation in education.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate how much these women had to overcome just to pursue their passions.
He really does. But she persevered, and her story is an inspiring example of how determination can triumph over adversity.
It really is.
Mary Jackson refused to be defined by the limitations placed upon her.
Exactly, yeah.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Each of these women's stories is powerful on its own. But woven together, they paint this incredible tapestry of talent,
Yeah.
perseverance, and the fight for equality during a pivotal time in American history.
And it's this intersection of personal struggles and national triumphs that makes Hidden Figures so compelling. We're not just learning about the space race.
Right.
We're experiencing it through the lens of these remarkable women who were so integral to its success, yet hidden from view for far too long.
Exactly. And it's not just about their professional achievements either.
Right.
Shetterly reminds us that these women weren't just mathematicians and engineers. They were mothers, wives, community leaders, and active participants in the fight for civil rights.
This is crucial. Their lives were not confined to the walls of Langley.
Right.
They were fighting for equality on multiple fronts, demanding change not just for themselves, but for future generations. And that's what makes their story so relevant to today's world. The fight for equality is ongoing. And these women's experiences serve as a reminder that progress isn't always linear.
Yeah, it makes you think about all the subtle and not so subtle forms of discrimination that still exist, even in fields that are supposedly merit-based.
Totally. And Shetterly doesn't shy away from depicting these realities.
No, not at all.
From the colored computer signs to the fact that they weren't initially allowed to eat in the same cafeteria as their white colleagues.
Right.
The book really lays bare the systemic racism they faced.
It's heartbreaking to think about the daily indignities they had to endure, but it also makes their triumphs all the more impressive. It's like they were constantly pushing against an invisible wall, yet they never gave up.
There's this amazing anecdote in the book about Miriam Mann, one of the computers.
Okay.
She gets so fed up with the colored computer sign on their table in the cafeteria that she just takes the sign and throws it away.
Oh, I love that. I love that story. It's such a simple act of defiance, but it speaks volumes about her determination to challenge the status quo.
It's a quiet rebellion, but a powerful one. And it reminds us that even small acts of resistance can have a ripple effect.
And speaking of pushing back, Mary Jackson's story is a perfect example of that. She actually had to petition the city to allow her to take night classes at a segregated high school so she could earn her engineering degree.
That's right. She had to fight for the right to educate herself, to pursue her dreams. And it's incredibly inspiring to see how she used her position to advocate for other women in STEM, helping them navigate the same challenges she faced.
It's that spirit of mentorship and paying it forward that really resonates with me. It's like they knew they were paving the way for future generations, and they weren't going to let anyone dim their light.
Absolutely. And Shetterly does a fantastic job of weaving these personal stories into the larger context of the civil rights movement, reminding us that these women weren't just fighting for their own advancement.
Right.
They were part of a larger struggle for equality.
And their fight wasn't confined to the workplace. They were active in their communities,
Right.
raising families, advocating for social justice, and proving that you can make a difference on multiple fronts.
It's important to remember that these women were not one-dimensional figures. They had full lives outside of their work at NASA.
Right.
They were mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, and their experiences reflect the complexities of Black life in America during this era.
And that's why Hidden Figures resonated with so many people. It's not just a science book or a history book. It's a human story about overcoming obstacles,
Right.
achieving your dreams,
Right.
and fighting for what you believe in.
And it's a story that's beautifully told. Shetterly's writing is engaging, informative, and deeply moving. You feel like you're right there with these women, experiencing their triumphs and setbacks, their joys and sorrows.
And you can't talk about Hidden Figures without mentioning the incredible 2016 film adaptation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It brought these stories to a whole new audience and sparked important conversations about race, gender, and the often overlooked contributions of Black Americans to science and history.
The film's success was phenomenal. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture,
Wow.
and won the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture. And it wasn't just a critical darling, it was a box office hit, resonating with audiences of all backgrounds.
I think what made the film so impactful was its ability to capture the essence of the book
Yeah.
while also being incredibly entertaining.
Yeah. It didn't shy away from the difficult realities of segregation and discrimination,
Right.
but it also celebrated these women's strength, humor,
Right.
and resilience.
And it showcased their brilliance in a way that was accessible and engaging for everyone. You didn't need a PhD in mathematics to appreciate their genius.
Right, exactly.
Or understand the significance of their contributions to the space race.
Exactly. And the casting was phenomenal. Taraji P. Henson as Katherine Johnson,
Oh, she was great.
Octavia Spencer as Dorothy Vaughan, and Janelle Monáe as Mary Jackson. They brought these women to life on screen in such a powerful and nuanced way.
They really did. It was incredible.
It was a masterclass in acting. And it's no surprise that the film received so much acclaim. It was a cultural moment, and it's a testament to the power of storytelling to educate, inspire,
Right.
and spark important conversations.
It makes you wonder what other untold stories are out there, waiting to be discovered and shared with the world.
That's a great question. And it brings us back to the importance of amplifying Black voices, particularly in fields where they've been historically marginalized.
Think about how many brilliant minds have been overlooked or forgotten simply because of their race or gender. It's a reminder that we need to be actively seeking out diverse perspectives, challenging the dominant narratives, and making space for everyone's story to be heard.
And it's not just about history. There are so many contemporary Black authors, scientists, artists, and thinkers who are making incredible contributions to society. It's up to us to seek out their work,
Right.
support their endeavors, and ensure that their voices are part of the conversation.
It really does make you stop and think about that.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of not just celebrating Black History Month, but actively working to create a more inclusive and equitable society year-round.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
We can't just passively consume these stories and pat ourselves on the back for being aware.
Right.
We need to be actively challenging the systems that perpetuate inequality and supporting the voices that are often marginalized.
And that can take a lot of forms.
Yeah.
Like seeking out and amplifying the work of Black authors and filmmakers, supporting organizations that promote STEM education in underrepresented communities.
Right.
It could be having those tough conversations about race and privilege with our friends and family.
It's about being intentional in our choices and actions.
Yeah.
Because representation matters.
Absolutely.
It shapes our understanding of the world and our place in it. And the more diverse those representations are, the richer and more inclusive our world becomes.
Hidden Figures is such a powerful example of that. It's a story that challenges our assumptions, expands our perspectives, and reminds us of the incredible resilience of the human spirit.
It leaves us with some important questions to ponder. What other stories are out there waiting to be told? What hidden figures are still making their mark on the world, often without the recognition they deserve? And what can we do as individuals to ensure that their contributions are celebrated and their voices are heard?
Those are questions we're thinking about because ultimately, these stories aren't just about the past. They're about shaping a future where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential and contribute their unique talents to the world.
And as we continue to celebrate Black History Month, let Hidden Figures be a reminder that history is made not just by presidents and generals, but by everyday people who dare to dream big, break down barriers, and pave the way for a more just and equitable future.
It's a reminder that every voice matters, every story deserves to be heard, and that together we can create a world where everyone has the opportunity to shine.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into hidden figures on Twitter. Until next time, keep those minds busy and those hearts curious.